Big up yourselves for coming on each and every time. And as always, guys, if you do enjoy the content, make sure you smash the like button. Obviously, smashing the like button helps the channel to grow. And again, if you're new in here and you enjoy the content, make sure you sub to the channel. And most importantly, make sure you share the channel as well. So, yeah, big up yourselves. So, we're going to get into it, guys. Obviously, I just finished watching the Brazil game. I didn't see the whole game. I probably caught the last 20 minutes. Brazil beating Senegal 2-0. I think that's Senegal's first loss under their new manager. And again, Brazil, man, to think that Brazil, you know, there's the amount of players they've got to choose from, and not to mention the amount of players that weren't even in the squad, you know. And this for me isn't the same Brazil from years gone by. But what I would say, they have got a lot of quality to choose from, you know. So for me in the World Cup, they're going to be one of the teams still to beat. You know, 'cause I think when it comes around to the World Cup, you know, we can never, you can never take your eyes off Brazil for me personally. So, yeah, I definitely think Brazil are going to be one of the teams to beat for sure, man. So, yeah. But, yeah, like I say, man, 2-0. Again, I didn't see the goals. I think Esteval scored and I think Casemiro scored. You know, Casemiro proving once again, you know, why he's someone that we shouldn't really be sleeping on. You know, he's been a top player throughout the years. You know, he's got a lot of criticism from the Man United fans. But listen, this guy is a top performer. You know, again, I didn't see the game, didn't see the goals. But, yeah, big up Casemiro, man, for contributing to Brazil's win. So, yeah, we're going to get into it, guys. Karim Adeyemi. So, Karim Adeyemi of Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, formerly of Salzburg. Again, the team that Erling Haaland come from as well. Patson Daka, I think, played for them as well. So, Karim Adeyemi being linked with Manchester United. Big up to Fitz, big up to Barbara Joseph as well for coming through. Guys, make sure we smash the like button and make sure we sub to the channel as well. So, yeah, listen, Karim Adeyemi being linked to Manchester United. So, what? Adeyemi is 23 years of age, and I actually checked his scoring stats earlier today, and I'm looking at this deal, yeah. Big up to Daniela as well, and I'm looking at this, yeah. And do I believe Manchester United going for Adeyemi? You know, I think I can see why he's being linked. Again, I don't know if it's concrete interest in Adeyemi, you know, but I can see why he's being linked. But there's a few issues that I'm gonna say why I just don't understand this deal really, you know. So what I would say is he's 23 years of age, so you'd definitely say he fits into the plan of what United are trying to target in terms of the younger players coming through and progressing. You know, still only 23, still early. What I would say though, you know, is looking at this formation that United played, the 3-4-2-1, for me, doesn't make sense, because the only reason he's being linked with Manchester United is because he's left-footed and they're looking at someone to replace Brian Mbeumo when Mbeumo goes off to AFCON, yeah? So I can see that Adeyemi, why they would be targeting someone like him. The few issues that I had with this, and again, feel free to put your comments and your questions in as well if you disagree. But I'm looking at the fact that Man United are playing the 3-4-2-1, you know, and Brian Mbeumo is not even playing in his position. You know, he's playing as a 10. He's not playing as a wide forward, you know, or even as a winger. He's playing as a number 10. So when I'm hearing that Adeyemi is being linked to Manchester United, we need to remember that Adeyemi, first and foremost, you know, started off his career as a striker. So he actually played through the middle for RB Salzburg, yeah? And then now, for Borussia Dortmund, if you think of Serhou Guirassy, who's the striker, and then you've got Adeyemi that plays either on the left-hand side or the right-hand side. So you can see the links to Adeyemi from Borussia Dortmund. The problem that I have with this link is if Manchester United are eyeing Adeyemi as Brian Mbeumo's replacement because Mbeumo's going off to AFCON, for me, doesn't make sense because, as I just said, Man United are not playing with a wide forward. They're playing with a right 10 and a left 10. Yeah? So bringing in Adeyemi to replace Mbeumo actually doesn't really make sense because that position, it requires a different profile of a player. And again, the fact that Mbeumo is playing as a 10, I think it's credit to Mbeumo, really, that he's getting numbers from that position so far, even though he's playing as a 10 and not playing as a wide forward. So I think it's actual credit to him that he's getting the numbers, funny enough, at the moment, yeah? But when you're looking at Adeyemi, and Adeyemi, as I said, is actually a striker, but yet he's being targeted to replace Mbeumo. I mean, just going through his numbers, yeah? This is a guy that has scored 29 goals in, I think it was something like 121 appearances, yeah? So again, the idea of replacing Adeyemi for Mbeumo doesn't actually make sense because why would you go and get a player like that really hasn't got the goal-scoring pedigree to replace someone like an Mbeumo who has shown that he does score goals in this league? So again, it comes back to, is this a definite sign-in for Manchester United that United are looking at? Or is it more of a case of rumours? And you can see why the links are there because he's left-footed. He plays inverted as well. But the two problems that I have is the fact that he's not, like, Mbeumo's not even playing as a right winger or as a wide forward. So you'd expect if Adeyemi was to come in, he'll be playing in the same positions as Mbeumo, as a 10. And as we know, neither player are number 10s. So again, I just don't understand this link apart from he's quick, he's left-footed, and he does play inverted. Because when you're looking at his goal return, the goal return won't suggest that, he should be a player that United should be pursuing. Not to mention, again, he's not playing as a wide forward. He's playing as a number 10 in Mbeumo. And you'd have to think that if Adeyemi does come in, he'll be taking up similar positions. So this signing for me doesn't make sense. And then you factor in how much he's going to cost. So for me, I think you're looking at between 40 and 60 million for Adeyemi, which for a player that scored 29 goals in 121 appearances for Borussia Dortmund, why would you pay anything close to that for Adeyemi? So the whole signing for me doesn't make sense. And again, a lot of it depends on the system. If Man United were playing a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, then Adeyemi would make sense because, again, he'll be playing in more of a natural position as a wide man. But this system here doesn't actually make any sense because, as I said, Man United play with a right 10 and with a left 10. So he doesn't naturally fit into this team. So it's funny to think that he's being linked to Man United, and I'm more thinking, it's just speculation, because I think if Man United are actually thinking to themselves, does this player come and put the same kind of output for United that Mbeumo's doing? The answer is no, and it's been shown in Germany, And I look at his game, I look at the fact that he has got ridiculous pace, which would be beneficial in this league. His composure for me is pretty poor. He isn't really composed on the ball. His touch ain't great. His movement is okay. So really and truly, I'm looking at the strengths that he'll probably bring to this league, and it's definitely his pace, because the goal scoring's not there, the composure's not really there. He's got a decent left foot, but no better than many others from what I've seen. So really, it's one of them things where we're looking at his pace. And again, this is another player that's being targeted more for his off the ball, not on the ball. And Man United have too many players that are you know, more off the ball players rather than on the ball. And again, it's another problem that I'm seeing with players being targeted by this club. So, I mean, has he got Ruben Amorim written all over it? 100%. You know, Amorim likes these type of players. But what I would say is, I don't understand this signing personally. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. You know, and especially with the output, it's crazy. So yeah, I just don't understand. I mean, if I'm looking at players to replace Mbeumo during AFCON, you know, they have to be targeting more or less number 10s, you know. And if I look at the Premier League, you know, in terms of left-footed, right-sided number 10s, again, they're few and far between. You know, if we look at players that might be available, I mean, in the Premier League, there ain't really no one that I would say is going to be easy to get or that is available to that can fill that kind of role. Because if you're looking at wide forwards that can get numbers, I mean, if you're looking at number 10s that get numbers that are left-footed, there ain't really no one in the league really, because all the other players are probably at their teams and you can't get them. I look at Yankuba Minte again. Minte for me would be a more viable option than what Adeyemi would be. But again, Minte's not a 10. Minte's a wide man. And United don't play that way at the moment with this manager. So I just don't understand this Adeyemi transfer, really. It makes no sense. But guys, let me know what you think. If you think Adeyemi will be a good signing for Manchester United, because I look around the league right now. You know, I done a stream on Lucas Paqueta. I think Lucas Paqueta for me would be the ideal signing for United, just not under this manager. You know, because I think if you can get rid of Bruno Fernandes and bring in a Paqueta, I mean that's an upgrade for me, because Paqueta is a very good footballer. But in this system, he wouldn't work, because you can't play him in the midfield too, because he's too attacking for that, in my opinion. And really and truly, you wouldn't want to play him as a right 10 or a left 10, because that right 10, you know, you need to have pace and be quite mobile. And that isn't really Paqueta's game. So Paqueta will only thrive for me, for Man United, in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, where he can play as a 10, or in a 4-3-3, play as a number 8. So I'm just looking around the league and I'm thinking, again, there isn't too many players available, you know, for Man United to kind of target, man. Like it's yeah, it's mad. So go through some of your questions. Guys, only a short stream today. But yeah, get your questions in, get your comments in. So I definitely prefer to focus on a CM or two before just the replacement for a recent signing. The issue with AFCON only lasts a few weeks. Yeah, listen, I agree. And this is why I don't think this signing of Adeyemi makes any sense, because you're more or less looking at a stopgap kind of signing. And do I believe Borussia Dortmund would allow Adeyemi to go on loan? I don't. So you're more or less looking at a permanent. Now, if you're looking at a permanent signing for Adeyemi, I'm pretty sure Dortmund will ask between 40 and 60 million. Now, if you're going to sign him on a permanent, he's not going to displace Mbeumo. So, again, I don't really understand that. What is your name? So my name is GavGoesIn. That's my channel's name. Yeah, GavGoesIn, man. So again, if you're new in here, make sure you sub. Make sure you smash the like button if you enjoy the content. And check out all the other content as well. So yeah, I mean, I understand, you know, the links in a sense, because, as I mentioned, he's got pace and he's left-footed. But just off the basis that Man United don't play the way that would suit Adeyemi, because they're playing with 10s and it doesn't suit Mbeumo, I don't understand why United will be linked to Adeyemi, really. You know, so I think it's just rumours. I don't think there's anything concrete in a signing like this, if I'm honest. But again, man, yeah, he's been mentioned, but I don't really get it personally. I don't really understand why they'll be targeting him. Makes no sense, you know. But so do you prefer traditional striker or a false nine? Again, good question, but it depends. A lot of it depends on your wide men. Like, I think people don't really take this into account. Yeah, a lot of having a striker depends on what kind of wide players you have, because if I've mentioned this so many times, yeah, if you've got wide players that get numbers, you don't necessarily want to get a striker that gets numbers, because the first and foremost, you need to have a striker that can link the play. This is why Harry Kane is an anomaly, because Harry Kane is a link man and scores obscene amount of goals. But you don't get players like that really too often. So if you've got someone like an Erling Haaland, you're not particularly going to have wide forwards that get numbers, because he's tasked with getting the goals. Whereas if you've got let's say, a Joshua Zirkzee, a prime example, which is why it doesn't make sense why he's not playing for United. Joshua Zirkzee is not going to get 20 to 25, 30 goals a season. He's not, because that isn't his game. But what he does is that he'll facilitate the attack to allow the wide men in terms of Cunha and Mbeumo to get numbers. That's how it works. So yeah, to answer that question, it depends what wide players you have. I think the best way to kind of answer that, if you have creators on the wing, yeah, like number 10s playing out wide, or wingers, you want a number 9 that gets goals. If you've got wide forwards, you more or less want a false 9 that can link the play and provide their fair share of creativity. So this is why certain things work for certain teams. Erling Haaland's going to score goals all day long at Man City, because they create a lot of chances and they've got pure creators in the team, and he's the main source of goals. Man United at the moment, you would probably say Mbeumo is the main source of goals, which means that when you've got a Joshua Zirkzee available to you, you have to utilize a player like that, because he's going to allow the likes of Mbeumo and even Cunha to get numbers. Both players, Cunha and Mbeumo, have shown that they can get goals for their team, which is why, again, Adeyemi doesn't make any sense, because if you're bringing him in to replace Mbeumo, who gets numbers, Adeyemi has already shown he doesn't get numbers at his club. So the signing doesn't really make any sense. Not to mention, Man United don't play with wide men. So the whole thing is just, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, yeah. Big up to Barbara Joseph for the super sticker as well. Big up. So yeah, man, it's crazy. But when those players go after AFCON, Man United definitely need to go and get, whether it's a stopgap for those players, but I just don't know really who is a realistic option to replace Mbeumo and Ahmad, because where United have to kind of be smart is that the kind of players they're going to go for to replace those players that are going to AFCON, you're not necessarily going to go and get someone that is going to be a definite starter, because again, and this is this formation, which I can't stand, as you guys already know. But if you're looking at the fact that United have Mbeumo and Ahmad, 2 players that have to start, the player that comes in to replace them for the time being would have to know that he's there because he's just covering, in a sense. Because there's no point going to go and get a starter and then Ahmad and Mbeumo come back, and then you're obviously in a situation where who are you going to play? This is the issue. So yeah, that's the issue. Big up to TC Asdarul from Greece. Big up. Gav, what do you think about Kenan Yildiz? Yeah, Yildiz is a top player, but again, Yildiz ain't coming to United. Yildiz is going to be hard to get out of Juventus, because for a start, he's their number 10. He's only what, I think 20 or 21, and he's going to cost a lot of money, you know. And yeah, so I think he's a signing that, you know, if he keeps progressing the way he is, you know, he'll get another move, a big move. But yeah, he's not going to come to United. That's one thing. Even Arsenal. I mean, the fact that Arsenal, you know, Arsenal could have gone in for him really, but that would have meant getting rid of probably Martinelli or Trossard. And again, that's going to be difficult to do with the fact that Martinelli's on quite a bit of money at Arsenal. But yeah, listen, man, it's he's a very good player. But he's not, Man United not going to sign him. Not with I think you have to look at the fact that Cunha's been signed. Man United won't go into the market for a big name like that. They're not going to go and do that. So because it wouldn't make any sense, you know. So yeah, I think at the moment we just don't know, man. As I said, just don't know. What do you think about the Mainu and Zirk situation? Again, I've touched on this already. I don't know what to think really, because I'm still of the opinion that the club really, if we're talking about Kobbie Mainoo, are the club going to risk backlash from the fans in getting rid of an academy prospect that hasn't really been given a fair opportunity in favour of a manager that has actually failed? These are the questions that need to be answered. Because I'm still saying, if we're looking at Manchester United right now, they haven't got any player that's a regular in the first team that's come through the youth. And again, Ruben Amorim's not going to play anyone from the youth because his job's on the line. So again, man, it's one of them things where, yeah, I don't know what to make of it really. I think the fact that Kobbie hasn't played regularly for United and is nowhere in the England team now, he's gonna have to force something in January. But I just don't know if I mean at the moment the most likely is a loan deal. But then because of Kobbie Mainoo coming through the youth, are the club gonna sanction him going out on loan? Are they gonna tell Amorim, if he's still here, that Mainoo needs to get more game time? You know, these are the questions that need to be answered. But I'm thinking for Kobbie and for Xerxes, for their World Cup chances, their best bet right now is to get out and get a loan move. Because if the club decide to keep this manager beyond January, then you can more or less say Kobbie and Xerxes are not going to the World Cup. They're not going to go. So, yeah, really, it's down to them and it's down to the club, because I don't know what the club have in store, because you've got the likes of Xerxes, Ahmad, Mbeumo and Mazraoui going to AFCON. Obviously, Xerxes and Kobbie Mainoo could have chances to play. But if I'm Xerxes and Kobbie Mainoo, why would I wait? Because there's players that have gone, even though they should be getting more game time to be playing. So yeah, these are the things, man, that are going to be interesting, because I definitely do think they're going to be pushing for a move, man, in January. You know, they definitely have to be looking at that, because the way this manager hasn't used these players doesn't make any sense. And I think definitely when you're playing one game a week, to keep players fresh, to keep players relatively match fit as well, you know, rotation has to happen. But this manager, as we know, you know, his job's on the line, because every loss he suffers, yeah, it's going to be a case of managers under pressure. You know what I mean? So just in his own head, he cannot afford to bring in players that he feels won't get him a win. That's all it comes down to. That's all it's coming down to. Yeah, big up to Benji, no more, no less. Yeah, big up, man. Appreciate it. Big up to Verbich as well. Yeah, listen, guys, I'll go through your comments as well once I've just finished discussing what I've discussed. Make sure you smash the like button as well when you come in. and make sure you sub to the channel. But yeah, so again, if I'm Xerxin, if I'm Kobe, I'm definitely forcing a loan move. But I just don't know if it happens, man. I think the way Xerxes been treated is criminal. Is criminal, really. And as I said, this manager is under pressure because, as I said, he's picking players that he probably feels can get him out of trouble by getting a goal. And there's no longevity in that, really, because I wouldn't even mind if I could see something positive with this team. You know, if they were building a team for the future, you know, the team are performing well, etc. But the fact that he's really hanging on for his job by just, you know, narrowly getting over the line, there's no longevity in this. So, and again, the fact that he's not making use of the squad is another problem. So again, the way that I look at Ruben Amorim and this team, there ain't no longevity. That's the main thing in what he's doing. There's not. So if I'm thinking there's no longevity, surely the board, what are they seeing to think that there's a long-term future with Amorim? Because what's he shown to believe there's a long-term future? I basically can't see it. So yeah, man, it is what it is. Opinion on Cristiano's red card. I mean, do you know what? I still haven't seen it, but obviously I've heard some of the talk about, you know, he was clapping or doing the cry emotion, the cry emoji, the cry thing to the fans. I haven't actually seen it, but I mean, for me personally, I think they're going to be better off that he's potentially missing the first game for the World Cup. I've said this before. If Portugal invest on Ronaldo in this World Cup, they're going to be out quicker than they know it, because Ronaldo's going to be 40 by the time this World Cup comes along. And why would you be relying on a 40-year-old, you know, to be leading your line if like going forwards in this tournament? It doesn't make sense. You know, it wouldn't like the thing with Ronaldo's more or less there to get a goal. That is what his game is going to be about. You know, if Ronaldo had an all-round game as a striker, you could kind of see the benefits of playing him all the time. But the fact that he's going to be 40, the fact that really his all-round game ain't really there, and he's there because of his name and to get a goal, you know, they could be better off without him being there regularly. But as we know, his name carries weight, and they're just going to invest in him until he retires. Obviously, he's come out saying that this is his last tournament with Portugal. And again, what a career he's had for Portugal. But if Roberto Martinez was serious, yeah, he would, like, because the thing is, Roberto Martinez, this is why I don't rate him highly, because if you're a manager that has anything about you, surely you won't be looking at Ronaldo as great as he has been, as someone that you should be investing in that much in the national team. Because there's other players there that can give a lot more to the game or to the team, but Ronaldo's just basically there because of his name. And as I said, if he's missing the first game for the World Cup, it could actually be a benefit to them, you know. But as soon as he served his suspension, we know he's going to come back into the team. So again, that's something for them to think about. What do you think about Alex Baena not performing to suspensions at Atleti? Do you know what? I think Baena is a very good player. I do. But again, sometimes, you know, it's one of them things. When you're going to a bigger club, you know, you don't always perform. Like, it is what it is. You know, maybe he's a big fish in a small pond. One of them kind of things. But yeah, I mean, I haven't watched Atletico Madrid play this season regularly, but he is a good player. But yeah, obviously, if he's not performing, it could be a case where, you know, a big fish in a small pond. You know, but he has definitely got talent. And again, Spain got a lot of competition, man, in that squad. So if he wants to be considered, he's got to put his weight, man, really, and start showing why he should be in the squad. No doubt. Portugal won't do anything if they rely on 40-year-old striker during the World Cup. I agree. As I said, you can't be relying on a 40-year-old striker moving forwards. Doesn't make any sense. You know, as great as Ronaldo has been, tell me that, you know, who's their striking options? You know, you got Gonzalo Ramos. I I think he might be the only one. You know, João Felix can play as a false nine. You know, I'm pretty sure they've got other players there. But yeah, listen, man, I just don't understand if they're gonna. It doesn't make sense to me if they just bank on Ronaldo leading the line for them because yeah, I mean, yeah, he's only there because of his name and because of the numbers, really. But yeah, they might come unstuck, man, if they bank on him in that tournament. You know. I think Cunha is naturally best as a shadow striker. Yeah, he is. Like Cunha's a number 10. Obviously, at Atletico Madrid, Cunha was playing more of a 9, more as a 9. But you can see Cunha's a 10, you know, because Cunha's someone, you know, that he needs to get on the ball, you know, and make things happen. Again, there's been comparisons with Eric Cantona, and you can see that because, as I said, man, Cunha's someone for me that he's got too much quality to just be a number 9 striker and wait for the ball. You know, you could say the same thing about Xerxes, but Xerxes for me is more adept at playing that position. But when you got players like that, they need to be on the ball at all times, and that's exactly what Cunha needs. So when this Ruben Amorim is playing Cunha as a 9, like at what point are you gonna realize that Cunha's a 10? Like, and these things are not really hard to kind of figure out. Like, he's a player that needs to be on the ball as much as possible, and this system just kills him. You know, this system kills so many players, as I've mentioned previously, which I won't go into. But again, this man's just incapable of seeing it, man. It's annoying. So was Arjen Robben the fastest player on the ball? On the ball, I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, Obafemi Martins was quicker, but Martins was probably quicker off the ball. But on the ball, it depends, man. It's hard. I mean, there's probably been quite a few players, but yeah, Iron Robin was a top player, man. You know, he probably might have been one of the quickest on the ball. Yeah, he probably might have been one of the quickest on the ball, I would say. But yeah, he was a top player, man. Top player. I've just seen the results, international football. Spain, I think Spain have either beaten or they're winning at the moment 4-0 against Georgia. And Spain are definitely going to be one of the favourites for this tournament, man. I just hope Pedri is fully fit, man, because I think Pedri at the moment might be out for about a couple of months. But if they get Pedri, Fabian Ruiz and Rodri in that midfield, good luck. Because that is a balanced midfield there. And again, that's not even considering the likes of Zubamendi, you know, who's back up to Rodri. You've got Dani Olmo who can play in the 10, Fermin Lopez who can play in the 10. They've got so many options, you know what I mean? So they're going to be one of the teams to stop, man. But yeah, 4-0 against Georgia. But why are we surprised, man? Why are we surprised? Guys, come on, make sure we're smashing that like button. There's only 7 likes. Let's at least hit 10 likes. Mods, make sure everyone's smashing the likes in the chat as well. And again, if you haven't subbed to the channel, make sure you sub to the channel as well. We're going to go for another 5 minutes before we wrap up. So yeah, get your questions and comments in. Anyone looking forward to this boxing fight tonight? I'm out to watch it, man. I'm still gonna say Eubank Jr. I think he wins this round 10. I think round 10 he stops Conor Benn, man. I'm gonna stick with that. I mean, it could go to points. It could be, you know, but I'm just looking at the fact that, you know, he's got Bomac as his trainer, and we all know what happened when he had Bomac as his trainer against Liam Smith for the rematch. You know, he stopped Liam Smith, so you know, that could be a factor. You know, I know people were saying Liam Smith wasn't fully fit, etc. But I'm looking at the fact that, yeah, I'm looking at the fact that he's got Bomac in his corner, you know, and could they have something up their sleeve for this fight? But I think one way or another, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game, man. Yeah, it's going to be a good game. It's a good game. It's going to be a good fight. You know, I think you know, there's a few of you that think it could be a trilogy, so Conor Benn could win. Again, I'm still going to stick with Eubank Jr., but I'm looking forward to it, man. 100% looking forward to it. Who should be a... Sorry, not that one. Who was it? So who should be a starter for Spain? Alvaro Carreras, Balde, Grimaldo, or Cucurella? Do you know what? Great question. Grimaldo, for me, is more of a wing-back. So I think just based on that, he's probably going to be out of the fourth choice, because he's actually a wing-back. He can play left. He can play left-back, obviously, but he's probably better as a wing-back. Alvaro Fernandez or Carreras from Real Madrid. Again, you know, he's done well at Real Madrid since he's gone there from Benfica, obviously formerly of Man United. I think he's behind Cucurella and Balde, personally. I'll be very surprised if come the World Cup he's the main star. You know, and I don't see that. For me, I think the future is Balde. I think Balde is definitely the future. I think in terms of his attacking and defensive, you know, he's competent at both. But I think people sleep on Cucurella. I think Cucurella is a very good left back. You know, and I think the reason people sleep on Cucurella is because, and again, people might laugh at this, yeah, but I think he gets taken advantage of or doesn't get respected because of his hair. I think people look at his hair and think we can get at him because he's not physical, really. You know, you look at his physicality. He hasn't really got the physicality that is imposing and the pace. And I think people look at his hair and think, you know what, we can get at him. But I'm telling you this now, he's a very good left back. You know, and to think as well, yeah, which is actually crazy, you've got Balde, Grimaldo, and Cucurella. All three of them are formerly of Barcelona, or Balde, in Balde's case, is currently, yeah. But Balde, Grimaldo, and Cucurella all were at Barcelona, which is madness, which just shows you their production line is ridiculous. You know, obviously Alvaro Fernandez, I can't remember who he's at before he went to United, but obviously he's at Real Madrid now from Benfica. But to think that Balde, Grimaldo, and Cucurella were all at Barcelona, and they're all, you know, in the frame, and they're all internationals for Spain is mad. But I'm going to say right now, you're probably edging more towards Cucurella, but I do think the future is Balde, you know, and then it's up to Alvaro Fernandez to compete. I think Grimaldo's obviously the oldest out of all them, I believe, but Grimaldo, for me, is more adept to playing as a wing-back. The last fight was barn burner? I think he meant barnstormer. But yeah, listen, it was, man. It's probably one of the most... It's probably one of the best fights I've seen, you know, in terms of both fighters just going at it, you know, for the full 12 rounds. You know, I enjoyed the press conferences as well. You know, you've got the calm and composed and the intelligent of Eubank Jr. And then you've got, you know, the fiery Conor Benn. I think the press conferences now, you know, they're not the same as the first one because Conor Benn's obviously more reserved now. He's more, you know, quieter. But again, man, yeah, the first fight was a great fight. And I think this fight, you know what it is? I hope this fight's better. But normally, you know, when you watch even films, yeah, the second films are always worse than the first ones. I'm hoping in terms of this fight, the second one's better than the first one, which is going to take some beating, you know. But yeah, listen, it's gonna be interesting, man, 100%. What happened to that Gonzalo Garcia kid? Haven't seen him since Club World Cup. Well, yeah, we spoke about it the other day. Obviously, you look at Endrick as well. You know, Endrick has to be on the move for Brazil. In January from Real Madrid. I mean, again, I spoke about it earlier. Brazil's squad at this moment in time is stacked of players. And if you look at the players that weren't involved, Neymar, Savinho, you can even put in Gabriel Jesus in there as well. There's loads of players, and I can't actually remember. Their team is stacked. Endrick wasn't there as well. So again, if Endrick was to be considered for this World Cup, you know, and again, Ancelotti knows him from Real Madrid. He's got to get out on loan for him to have any sniff at making the World Cup. You know, so it's crazy, man. But yeah, that Gonzalo Garcia, again, he was carrying that attack in the Club World Cup, and now he's just nowhere to be seen. Gav, who is better, Caicedo or Rice? Caicedo's better. Easy. Caicedo's better. He is. Who will be the starting goalkeeper, Unai Simon or David Raya? So Unai Simon will start. And, you know, Unai Simon, I don't think has been great for Bilbao, but he's the number one for them, you know. I mean, they've got David Raya. They've got Juan Garcia as well. I like Juan Garcia from Barcelona, but he's out injured at the moment. But I think Unai Simon is the number one right now. So I don't see that changing. Because again, you want continuity going into a tournament. And he's been the number one for a little while. So I see that happening. You know. Slobberknocker, yeah. Or Barnstormer's one as well. Barnburner, Barnstormer, Slobberknocker. Yeah, man. So who do you think is most likely to win the Ballon d'Or this season? I mean, to be honest with you, man, that's I mean, the recent one's just finished, man. So that's too early to say for me. But the front runners, as we know at the moment, you know, you have to say Harry Kane, you have to say Erling Haaland, and you have to say probably Kylian Mbappe. Yeah, I think those three at the moment are the front runners. But you can't read into anything right now, because as we know with the Ballon d'Or, a lot of it is based on winning the World Cup, you know, the Champions League, numbers. These things will all be taken into account, you know. But the one thing I've said is the fact that Kylian Mbappe has had to watch, you know, Ousmane Dembele, a compatriot, win the Ballon d'Or before him. There's no one that would have thought that. You know, I'd argue with anyone that would have thought that would happen. So I think the fact that's happened, you know, Mbappe might have a something, you know, inside him to have a Ballon d'Or as well. Because, you know, the thing that Dembele had one before him is mad. No, I don't think anyone would have predicted that. So, yeah, I think those three at the moment are the front runners. But again, it's a long way to go, man. So it's too early. But Champions League and World Cup, as we know, with numbers, decide it. And this is why I'm saying about Harry Kane. There's no doubt in Harry Kane's numbers. He's produced that year in, year out. Yeah, for Tottenham and for Bayern now and for England. There's no denying that. And he's a great footballer as well. But Harry Kane, if he wants to be... Because as a footballer and as a consistent goal scorer, he's going to be up there. One of England's greatest ever strikers. Probably the greatest. You know? But in terms of if he wants to be regarded as, you know, one of the greats, he has to win a World Cup or Champions League. He has to, for me. You know, because... yeah, he has to. He has to win it for me. You know, and I've always said the one thing against Harry Kane is that he has to take Bayern Munich now to the Champions League and England to a World Cup for him to have that tag of... Because he's going to go down. He's going to go down for me as one of the greats for England, no doubt. But there's always going to be that question mark of, you know, did he do it in the big games? And this is the thing. You look at all the top players, yeah, around the world that have won the Ballon d'Ors or that have won in previously. You know, they've always turned up in the big games. Every single one of them, from Ronaldinho, Messi, Zidane, Neymar, Pogba, Hazard. You know, Name them. Ronaldo. Yeah, just name them. Yeah, just name them, man. They've all literally turned up in the big games. So Harry Kane has to do that for me. He has to do that for me. So Cam says, Vinny or Mbappe, who you signing if you could and why? Great question. Now, for me, yeah, I still see Mbappe as a left winger. I don't look at Mbappe as a striker, even though he is playing there for Real Madrid now. So I still look at him as a left winger. So it's perfect to compare him and Vinicius Junior for me. If I'm looking at what player would you want in your team, again, this probably depends on your striker for me. Because if I've got a striker, and again, I think a lot of these questions are nuanced and a lot of people don't really want to have this kind of conversation, yeah? But if I've got a striker like Erling Haaland, for argument's sake, yeah? Mbappe or Vinicius Junior, I'd want Vinicius Junior. Why is that? Because Vinicius Junior, for me, is more of a creator than what Mbappe would be. Because Mbappe he's a goal scorer, really. Whether you play him from out wide or play him through the middle, he's more of a goal scorer. So the way that I look at it is that if you've got a false nine type of striker, like a Giroud, for instance, you'd want an Mbappe because Mbappe will get goals from out wide, from the left. But if I've got a striker like Erling Haaland, then I would want probably Vinicius Junior because Vinicius Junior is more of a creator because I've already got goals coming from Haaland. And this is where people don't really take this into consideration. You can't have all goal scorers in your front line. It's not going to work. It never has worked. Something's got to give. So you need to have, if you've got a goal scorer up top, your two players out wide, at least one of them has to be a creator. If you've got a hybrid in one where someone's a creator and a goal scorer, then you're laughing. But it's not going to work if you've got all goal getters in your front line. Imagine having a front three of Haaland, Mbappe, and I don't know, Mo Salah. People will think that's a great front line. That will work. For me, that won't work because not to mention you've got three players there that in their own mind are superstars in their own mind, in their own right. And all three of them would be looking at being the top goal scorer. So it's never going to happen. So you need to have a balance. And this is why, going back to Manchester United, the fact that you've got a goal-scoring wide player in Mbeumo and someone in Cunha that has shown he can score goals at Wolves, Xerxes is ideal because he'll knit that all together. And this is where it comes down to me. So yeah, great question, man. Great question. But I would pick, again, as I said, if I'm looking at Mbappe as a left winger and I've got Haaland as a striker, then I'd pick Vinicius Junior based on the balance. But if I've got a Joshua Xerxes, who's a false nine, then I'd pick Mbappe because I know Mbappe will get goals from out wide. But big up. Munoz was so underrated last season. Yeah, I mean, Daniel Munoz from at Crystal Palace, he is. He's a very good player. He's probably, in terms of a wing back, he's probably the ideal wing back, ideal profile in this league. So he'll have a lot of teams after him. But again, I think you're only going to sign him really if you're a team that plays three at the back. Because I don't know if he suits playing a four at the back. So, but yeah, he's underrated, to be fair. He is. Yeah, Marmoush has been injured. He's been injured. But, yeah, he's a top player, Marmoush. He is. But they've got a lot of options, Man City, and a lot of quality as well in attack. So he'll get his fair share of games, Marmoush. I don't think they should be playing him, though, off the left. I think you've either got to play Marmoush in the 10 or play him if you want to rest Haaland as a striker. But I think playing him from the left, I don't think you get the best out of Omar Marmoush for me. So yeah, it's one of them things really. Guys, come on, we got 18 of you watching and 8 likes. Let's make sure we're smashing that like button. And make sure you sub to the channel as well. Big up to Ibrahim Bangura as well. Big up. Guys, let me know who you think wins this World Cup. Who you going for to win this World Cup? Who you going for? I'm gonna say. You know, it's difficult. It's difficult because I think I want to say France, but under Deschamps, I mean Deschamps. You can't trust Deschamps to pick the right team. Netherlands, listen, Netherlands have to be in there. They've got a great shout. I mean, I look at Netherlands defense, and if they play the three at the back, which they have done, I don't know what Koeman's gonna do, but they've got the options to play the three at the back, man. You think of Van Dijk being the captain, being in the middle of De Ligt one side, Van der Ven the other, Nathan Ake as well. You know, Urian Timber. Like, they've got Ian Matson, fullback. They've got some very good options. So, yeah, definitely, man. They're a team that that can't be taken lightly. But I just don't rate Ronald Koeman as a manager, really, you know. Yeah. That's why I think Madrid getting Haaland won't work and City getting Vinny is a great move. Yeah, but listen, Madrid are not going to sign Haaland now. Haaland's not leaving Man City. Haaland's on a death row contract, man. He's on a 10-year contract at Man City and never already signed Mbappe. So it's never going to happen. I think the fact that Mbappe's there now, and he's playing through the middle, Real Madrid are not signing another striker now because they've got Endrick, who is young enough to be, you might say, understudy. So the need for another striker ain't going to be there. So Real Madrid are not signing another striker. Mbappe, they've invested in Mbappe as their main striker, and then you've got Endrick there, who's not even getting game time. So yeah, they're not gonna go and buy another striker. They're not. So Haaland's not leaving Man City. You know, and as I said, strikers now are few and far between. So this is why them signing Haaland to a 10-year deal, or I think it was a 10-year or 9-year deal, something like that. When you actually think about it, it's a no-brainer because you've got someone that's regarded as the best striker right now in the world. He's what, mid-20s, and you're gonna get the best years. He's got his probably got his best years ahead of him, you might say, and that means that their investment in a new striker doesn't need to be there. So they've covered themselves in that for that position, just like Madrid have with Mbappe. So yeah, Man City and Real Madrid are not going to invest in the striker. The one team that needs to go and get a striker is Barcelona, because you've got Lewandowski, who's what, 34, I think now, and the striker market is dead. So they're the kind of team that needs to go and get a striker. If you look at all the big teams, you know, PSG play with a fluid front three, so they might not see the necessity to get one. Bayern Munich have got Harry Kane as well. Let's talk about Harry Kane going to Barcelona. I don't see that one. Why would Barcelona go and get a striker that is, what is he, 32, going to be 33, 34 or something like that by the time his contract runs out. Barcelona need to go and get a striker that is mid-20s, you know. But again, the striker market's dead, so it's going to be hard, really. Spain or England, but I want Ronaldo to win. Yeah, I think definitely Spain. I don't see England, you know. I think if you guys haven't seen the stream the other day that I done on Jude Bellingham, the PR that's been given to him. As I said, man, if Thomas Tuchel leaves out Jude Bellingham, like, he's got my respect, put it that way. Because I've already said to you guys already, I don't rate Jude Bellingham. And if Jude Bellingham happens to go to the World Cup with England, I mean, he doesn't start ahead of Jack Grealish in the 10, Morgan Rogers in the 10, Eze in the 10, Gibbs White, even Foden. All them guys there, for me, are better number 10s than Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham's not even a number 10 in the first place. So if Thomas Tuchel leaves him out, I'd respect him, because the media fanfare around Bellingham, it's going to be interesting to see if he goes or not. I'm expecting him to go with the squad, because the PR around him and the pressure that Tuchel will be under, can you see him being left out? But if Tuchel does leave him out, he's got my respect, definitely. Because I just don't see the only position that they're going to play him is in the 10. And the fact that he's not a number 10 and there's other number 10s that are much better than him, like, I just don't see where he fits in, man. No, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I don't see England winning it. I don't, man. I've always said this. When England meet a France, a Spain, an Argentina or Brazil, maybe a Portugal or Holland, I just don't know if they've got enough to get over the line. I don't think they have, But again, they've got it all to do, man. They've got it all to do. You have to wait and see. Big up to Daniela as well for the super sticker. Big up. Who you thinking you will win the World Cup? As I said, I can't look past France, Spain. I mean, the reason I'm saying Spain is purely because of their midfield and their attack. I think their defense and their goalkeeper is a bit questionable. What partnership is he going to play? Is he going to go with the youngsters in Pau Kabasi and Dean Howson? Both players, their first World Cup, inexperience. That could be risky. I look at France, under Deschamps, is he going to get the balance right? I mean, I'm going to hate it if he plays Rabiot. I'll be honest with you. If I see Rabiot in that midfield for France, I'll lose my mind, because for me, Camavinga needs to be starting. If he's fit, he has to start. I want to see a midfield of Camavinga, Tchouaméni possibly. I mean, I hope Pogba is back. I hope Pogba gets game time and gets himself back into that squad. I mean, if Pogba is back fit playing for Monaco and gets back into the France squad, he starts. So whether you play Pogba in the 10 or play Pogba slightly withdrawn with Camavinga, so be it, man. But he has to be playing for me. Guys, is Gabriel injured? Did Gabriel get injured for Brazil today? I just see him with his shirt over his head crying. So is he injured? But yeah, listen, Camavinga has to be starting for me. Pogba is washed. Nah. So Pogba is washed. Also, are you still in the closet, or have you told everyone you're gay yet? You have to laugh, man. You have to laugh. So Big Dog says Pogba is washed. So again, he's got something against Pogba. Also, are you still in the closet, or have you told everyone you're gay yet? I mean, I'm laughing. You know why I'm laughing? Because I mean, he's called Big Dog. That says it all, man. Big Dog. Like, that says it all, man. That says it all, Big Dog. I think there was someone called Little Dog that was in there earlier. Might be his wife, I don't know. But, I mean, at least she's watching. So, you know what I mean? But yeah, listen, I think definitely, for me, France need to, because I want to see Cherki involved. I want to see Michael Olise, Dembele. Obviously, Mbappe will play as the captain, but they've got Jean-Philippe Mateta as well. Like, they've got some players, man, and it's the balance for me that he needs to get right. But I just don't want to see Rabiot. I mean, Rabiot is a decent player, but I don't want to see Rabiot again ahead of Camavinga. Camavinga needs to be in that midfield for me. But yeah, we have to wait and see what he does, because under Deschamps, Yeah, they're just unpredictable. But they'll definitely be one of the front runners, no doubt. Um, Pogba's not washed. I mean, I don't know how you can say Pogba's washed. I mean, he hasn't played for a start for you to be calling him washed. You know, and as I said, um, if if Pogba proves his fitness, you know, gets his form, France will take him because France with Pogba, they're a better team. No one can deny that. But again, he's got to prove his fitness. He's got to prove his form. So I just hope he can get back to playing for Monaco. Again, I don't know if he's injured or if he's not fully fit. I don't know, but he's a top player, man. And I do believe if he proves his fitness, if he gets back on form, he'll be in that France squad. And who knows, man? He'll have a big part to play. What kind of wingers do you rate more, the direct ones or the cams playing as wingers? Big up, good question, yeah. And you know why it's a good question? Because people have to understand the difference in wide players now. Because you get wide forwards, you get wingers, you get number 10s playing from out wide. If you look at Jadon Sancho, Jack Grealish, even Eden Hazard back in the day, yeah, these guys are number 10s playing out wide. I think Sancho could be a bit of a hybrid in terms of a number 10 and a winger, you would say. But Grealish is a number 10 playing out wide. Mo Salah, you know, Mo Salah is basically, he's a wide forward. So he's a striker playing from out wide. You know, you got Riyad Mahrez. You know, Mahrez was a bit of a hybrid, a number 10 and a winger playing from out wide. And then you get players like Anthony Elanga, who's a winger. You know, Harvey Barnes is a winger. So you get different kind of wide players. I think the kind of wide players that I like inside forwards, you know, or number 10s from out wide. You know, because the number 10s now, you know, you don't really see many teams playing with central number 10s. Their positions more are now out wide because a lot of teams want to play with three in midfield. And a lot of teams want to have protection first rather than having a maverick centrally, you know, and this is the problem in football now. So your number 10's more, like a Cherki, for instance. Cherki's a number 10, but really has to play out wide because a lot of teams want to play with three in midfield. So yeah, for me, I prefer the number 10s out wide, but a lot of it depends on the strikers you have. And this is why I always touch on this. You know, if you look at Erling Haaland is the prime example. If you've got a striker like an Erling Haaland, you don't need wide forwards. You need creators, number 10s from out wide, which is why he thrives at Man City because he's got creators all around him. Whether it's Cherki from out wide, Doku, who's a winger, who wants to create, whether you've got Bernardo Silva, Bernardo Silva was a number 10, but he's more of like a jack of all trades now. If you've got Savinho, who's a winger, obviously Grealish when he was there was a number 10 from out wide. You've got pure creators around, you know, a natural guy that wants to get goals. So it works. So as I said, I prefer the number 10 from out wide, but a lot of it depends on what striker you have. You know, if you've got Harry Kane, for instance, who's a hybrid, who can create and score goals, you more or less want legs around Harry Kane. You know, if you think of Luis Diaz and Elise, you know, you've got Elise, who is a number 10 really from out wide, but can be seen as a hybrid. But then you've got Luis Diaz, who's a winger. So you've got Luis Diaz, who wants to run, and then you've got Elise, who can do a bit of both. And then you've got Harry Kane, who can drop off and create and be a fox in the box. So it works. So, yeah, man, it depends what kind of strikers you have, really. But yeah, great question. White players play, they will know win. So white players play, they will know win. That makes sense to me. Cherki can play out wide as both wings, and at cam. I rate him really highly. Brings back memories of when I used to sign Fekir on manager mode. Yeah, big up to Nathan. Yeah, listen, Nabil Fekir was a top player. Again, Nabil Fekir is a number 10. But in this era of football where teams don't play really with number 10s, he would play exactly where Cherky plays as a number 10 out wide. Again, Cherky for me is a pure number 10, but he has to play for Pep really out wide. There will be games where he does play centrally, but again, when you've got teams that want to play with three in midfield, as I said, the number 10s have to play out wide. You know, there was people telling me in my chat before that Jack Grealish is not a number 10. And again, I had to laugh because he's probably one of the most creative number 10s in football right now. But because managers, you know, want to set up with three in midfield and have their number 10s out wide, people actually think he's a left winger. No, he's a number 10 that can play as a left winger, but he's a number 10 playing from out wide. You know, again, going back to Bruno Fernandes, people think Bruno's a number 10. No, Bruno Fernandes is a number 8 in a 4-3-3. People think Jude Bellingham's number 10. I mean, that's shameful. Because managers play certain players in certain positions, that doesn't mean that that's necessarily where they play. The difference is they can play there in comparison to where they play is different. And people need to realize that or understand that, you know. I'm never going to see Jude Bellingham as a number 10. He's a number 8 box to box in a 3, you know, and it is what it is. But again, these things are about opinions, and a lot of it comes for me through to understanding players' positions. And as I said, so 101 Clubber says Adeyemi is a plus for United. See, I don't think it will be because Manchester United don't play with wide players. The width comes from the wing-backs. So unless you're going to play Adeyemi as a wing-back in how he's using Ahmad, then it makes sense. But I'm more or less looking at the links to Adeyemi. Is he looking at Adeyemi to be Mbeumo's replacement? And if he is, doesn't make sense because the numbers don't show that he can replace Mbeumo's goals, even though Mbeumo is playing as a 10, not as a winger. So these are the things that need to be understood, you know. So I don't see the Adeyemi one, really. You know, it doesn't make sense to me. So many of Liverpool's signings were perfect for Man United, like Frimpong, Kerkez and Wirtz. In this current formation, I'll make you right. And this is why I said, you know, I even said to Jonas when we do our normal stream on Mondays, obviously Jonas is a Liverpool fan. I said to Jonas that from the very start, why Liverpool don't play a 3 at the back doesn't make sense because Frimpong is a wing back, Kerkez can play wing back, and it's going to get the best from Van Dijk for me as well. You know, and again, not to mention, it's gonna prolong or get better numbers for Mo Salah because we know Mo Salah's legs have gone, really. So if you play Mo Salah more in field and have Frimpong as Mo Salah's legs, you'd probably get a better Mo Salah. So the fact that Kerkez, Frimpong and Wirtz all came in, and let's not forget as well, Florian Wirtz and Frimpong actually came from a 3 at the back system. So why Arne Slot never tried that doesn't really make sense. So yeah, I'll make you right, man. Those 3 players, Frimpong, Kerkez and Wirtz, would have definitely been better for Man United as signings in the current formation. But again, I don't want to see this formation at Manchester United because when I have to watch continuously Ahmad play as a wing-back when he's a 10, Mbeumo play as a 10 when he's a wide man, Cunha play as a 9 when he's a 10, Kobbie Mainoo not getting game time, and Joshua Zirkzee, it just shows me that this formation has to go. So, yeah, it's one of them things, man. But guys, listen up. I'm going to have to shoot anyway. But big up yourselves for coming on. Make sure you smash the like button if you haven't done so already. Big up to all the mods as usual. Big up to all the newcomers as well. And again, if you haven't subbed to the channel, make sure you do. And make sure you share the channel as well. And again, make sure you get your comments in as well. If you disagree or if you agree with me. But again, a lot of these conversations I have, you know, it might go over a few people's heads, but if you understand where I'm coming from, then that's even better, man. It's about dialogue. So yeah, big up yourselves for coming on. Not sure, guys, if I'm back tomorrow. Not sure, but as always, make sure you keep an eye on the notifications to see when I go live. But if I'm not back tomorrow, then definitely back on Monday. Obviously, international break, so we're gonna have Jonas back on as well as Fitz as well. And yeah, we'll get into some obviously international football talk. I believe England are playing, I think, tomorrow, but I don't think I'll watch that game because they're playing against Albania, and or maybe I might watch it to see. I want to see if he starts Bellingham actually, because I want to have a discussion with a few of the others on Bellingham, because again I've had my say on him. You know, a few others might have a difference of opinion, and that's what it's about. So I might try and see if I can catch that game and see if Bellingham does play, and see if there's any different from what I said the other day, because I just don't rate Bellingham, you know, and there's many people that don't. But as we know, the PR behind him and the fanfare, you know, there's a lot of people that do rate him. So, but yeah, if I'm not back tomorrow, guys, then definitely back on Monday for the usual set. But as I said, keep an eye on notifications. But big up yourselves each and every time. Smash the like button, share the channel, sub to the channel if you're new. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in a bit.